You grew up hearing one thing about Toyota: buy it, drive it forever, never worry again. But today, something feels different. Owners are starting to ask a question no one thought they'd ever ask. Is Toyota still the most reliable car you can buy? And the answer isn't simple, because the Toyota you trusted in the 90s is not the Toyota you're buying today. Not worse and not broken. And if you don't understand how that difference shows up in year 8 or 10, you're the one who pays for it. Today, we're breaking that down using real owner stories, modern repair patterns, and how reliability is actually scored in 2026. Because the rules quietly changed.
This is the 10th generation of the Toyota Corolla. This is a 2011, but the 10th generation went from 2009 all the way to 13.
Old Toyota was built on over-engineered simplicity, low-stress engines, port injection, timing chains that felt immortal, hydraulics instead of sensors. You could read half the car with a dipstick and a flashlight, and that simplicity aged like stone. But modern Toyota lives in a world of mandatory electronics, complex sensors, ADAS systems, hybrid layers, and software networks. It's not Toyota becoming worse, it's Toyota being forced into new territory. The same territory every brand now lives in.
They're so quiet, so refined, they're very comfortable, very smooth, and if you can still find one that is in good original shape, that doesn't have rust.
And that territory brings something older Toyota's almost never had. Rare, but expensive failures. Let me show you the split. A mid-2000s Tacoma rolls past 200,000 miles with basic care. Nothing shocking there. But then you meet a 2020 Corolla owner who reports vibration issues, mount wear, front bearing failures, and early axle work. All at mileages that used to be considered barely broken in. Same badge, completely different ownership experience. Why? Because the older Toyota was mostly hardware. Today's Toyota is hardware, sitting under 3 layers of electronics that all have to agree with each other. It's like comparing a mechanical watch to a smartwatch. One ticks forever. The other does way more, until one small update or sensor throws off the whole system. Here's where reliability scoring changed the conversation. Consumer Reports tracks 20 trouble areas, but they don't weigh them equally. A squeaky trim piece? Almost nothing. A hybrid battery fault? A major electronics failure? A charging issue? A CVT issue? Those carry way more weight.
Here we have a few cracks here. This is again a 23-year-old car, but this is pretty impressive for a 23-year-old daily driven.
Because they reflect real pain, downtime, cost, availability, recalibration, electronics replacement, and specialized labor. So even if most owners have a smooth run, one severe failure can drag down the predicted score, because it drags down the real-world experience. This isn't bias, it's math. Now let's zoom into why modern Toyotas stumble in places older ones didn't. Start with electronics. A modern Toyota stacks a radar behind the emblem, a forward camera at the windshield, a web of networked modules. A CVT or hybrid system that relies heavily on software logic, and multiple layers of sensors that decide how the car behaves. If one of those layers misreads data because of a weak 12-volt battery, a module hiccup, or a tiny misalignment after a windshield swap, you don't get a slight inconvenience. You get system-disabled warning lights everywhere and a car that refuses to run certain features until recalibrated. That didn't exist in the old Toyota world, and it's why modern repairs sometimes feel like overkill. A fender tap that barely scratches paint can nudge the radar bracket 2 millimeters. And now the car wants a full sensor recalibration before adaptive cruise or pre-collision assist will work again. Older Toyota, tighten a bolt, keep driving. New Toyota, recalibration rig, service schedule, and a bill. not worse, just different. Hybrid and CVT systems are another new frontier. They're efficient, they're smooth, they're absolutely the future. But CVTs rely on fluid spec, programming, mounts, and very precise behavior. So when a mount wears out, the whole car feels wrong. When fluid ages, the system doesn't give warning like a traditional automatic. It slowly develops the drone, the shake, the hesitation. And by the time you feel it, the problem has been growing quietly. Same with hybrids. The engines themselves are strong. The electric motors are strong. But when a high voltage component fails outside warranty, you feel it again. Not common, just expensive when it happens. That rare but costly pattern is exactly what pulls a modern model's reliability score down. And then there's service consistency. Some Toyota dealers chase down root causes. Others swap parts until the lights go away. If a sensor is replaced, but the bent bracket isn't fixed, the warning comes back. Owners lose time. Perception drops. Surveys reflect the experience. Parts availability. The last few years didn't help either. Some modules, radars, and camera units took weeks to arrive. Owners don't remember the cause. They remember the downtime, and that downtime becomes unreliable in the data. So here's the truth. Nobody phrases cleanly.
This 2011 model is your mid-level. It is an LE, but it is kind of stripped down. It still has hubcaps, no aluminum wheels.
Toyota didn't suddenly build unreliable cars. Toyota built complex cars in a complex era. Durability is still there. Engines, hybrid drive motors, transmissions, differentials. The mechanical core is solid. What changed is the supporting electronics that allow all that hardware to function. Durability and reliability are no longer the same word. Durability is how long the machine lasts. Reliability is how often your life gets interrupted. Older Toyota interrupted you less. Modern Toyota interrupts you for different reasons. That's the entire picture. So which Toyotas still make the most sense? Which ones keep the headaches low? Which ones offer the old-school experience inside a modern shell? That's coming next. But you already know the rule. If you buy new, budget for electronic and ADAS maintenance. Ask the dealer about calibration costs for cameras and radar. Price the CVT service. Check recall history. Scan for TSBS. Look at owner reports by model year. And don't assume a badge guarantees the same experience across decades. Toyota is still one of the safest bets in the industry, as long as you understand the world they're building cars for. The bulletproof legend didn't disappear, it just evolved. And now you know how to stay ahead of the hidden costs that come with that evolution.